The Academic and Non-Fiction Authors Association of South Africa is hosting a two-day international virtual conference. This inaugural conference will take place on the 29th and 30th of this month. The conference is aimed at getting authors together to have conversations about their work and role in changing societies. We're going to have that conversation in this hour. But before we get there, let's speak about the conversation I mentioned just before the break. Now, a teacher found guilty of sexual misconduct will face a lifetime ban from working at any public school. This is among the newly gazetted terms and conditions of employment for educators. The terms further stipulate that the possession of illegal drugs also carries a lifetime ban. Now, to better understand these new teachers' re-employment rules, I'm joined by Mugwena Maluleke, SATU General Secretary, Matakanya, a National Association of SGB's General Secretary, and Mhlanga, who is the Basic Education spokesperson. A very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. And thank you for having us in this.
Well, let me start off with reactions to these new terms and conditions of re-employment for educators that have been gazetted. I'll start with you, Mr. Maluleke.
Well, let me thank you for really having us this afternoon together with Elijah and Matakanye. Look, I don't take them as being the new condition of employment. I take them as a regulation that we needed, because what has always been happening, it is that SACE, which is the South African Council for Educators, has long gazetted through their own processes that once you are found guilty, you will not be allowed to teach, because they were striking you off the role as a practitioner, as a teacher, and therefore it was you can't be employed unless you use any other means of really coming back to the system. But in the public education system, you were not going to be re-employed if you are found guilty of sexual misconduct, especially if the relationship was with the learner. And clearly it is that the department as well would not go against a decision of SACE having struck you off the roll, because there's a requirement for you to produce a certificate of practicing so before you can be employed. So we welcome the fact that finally the regulations have been gazetted, because these were discussed some long time ago, almost about 4 or 5 years, and then they were gathering dust. Finally, we think that we are getting to be serious about the protection of our children, the protection of the profession, in order to ensure that indeed when you join teaching because you love the children, you love the country, and you will protect them and use any other means to make sure that they are safe in your own hands, because we take an oath as local parental in our schools.
And Mr. Matakanya, your reaction then to these rules that have finally been gazetted?
We welcome the rules and support the phrase that says education is the profession that gives birth to all the profession. So you see, once you respect that profession, we are not going to have any problems in South Africa. We talk about the attitude, we talk about the values, we talk about skills, we talk about knowledge and everything. Now, once we have teachers of that stature, then the problem of education, having problems in South Africa, is over. So, as the General Secretary has already indicated that it's really long overdue for this document to be made public. We welcome that as National Association of School Government Bodies. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mhlanga, as you've heard, reaction there, pleased and welcoming the gazettement of these laws and regulations, but why did it take so long?
Well, it didn't take long. With things like this, before you gazette anything, you need to go through a process of consultation, because you need to make sure that you are doing the right thing. You could rush it, make mistakes, omit other critical components that needed to be included. But when you take your time and you do a good job, then once you gazette it, you get a reaction such as the one that you've just got now, which means all our stakeholders are happy with what has been gazetted. But remember, the department is not the only one that is working in this particular area in the education system. The South African Council for Educators, as Mr. Maluleke has indicated, it is the custodian of all matters of professionalizing the profession of teaching. It is them who issue certificates to teachers, giving them the permission to work as educators in our schools. It is them who also conduct investigations once a teacher has been reported to be involved in a matter of misconduct. It is them who do all the work on a day-to-day basis of ensuring that teachers are conducting themselves according to the code of conduct which they've signed up for. So all of those things they do. So we work in collaboration, but we also have something called the Education Labor Relations Council as well. And indeed, you have the SGP. So all those stakeholders need to be consulted, and we are pleased that we are here now, and everyone is understanding and supporting the fact that we need to keep the teaching profession clean. We need to make sure that those that are in the system understand that they have a huge responsibility to take care of the children over and above having to teach.
Now, Mr. Mhlanga, a teacher found guilty of misconduct, sexual misconduct for that matter, will be actually banned for life from ever getting employment in public schools. How is such a teacher kept out of the private schooling space?
Well, the law covers all South Africans. There's no law for private schools. Remember, even the private schools, they get permission to operate from the department. So those conditions will apply. Remember, it doesn't just end with schooling. It says the Department of Social Development will have your name in the sexual offenders list. And they will need to make sure that your name is there and you can't get employment as well. Because you are a danger to children, you are a danger to other people that you work with. That's why we feel that it can't just be a matter for education. Social development must be there, but also the justice system need to be there. The police must also play their part. So it's an integrated approach that we're doing. It's not an education matter. We are trying to deal here with one of the most problematic social ills in the system. That's why even when you look at the Gazette, it lists them in different aspects. It says a sexual relationship with a learner, but it also says sexual harassment. And it then goes on to talk about other offenses that you could be conducting, that you could be doing against other educators. So we're trying to protect people, children in particular, from sexual predators, but also other offenses that have got to do with the behavior of people in the workplace, such as schools.
I just want to bring in the SGB, Mr. Matakanya. Just speaking about the scourge of all of these different issues that relate to educators, not only violating their power or authority against, children and pupils that they're supposed to be teaching and nurturing, but also against their colleagues. When it comes to the social aspect of these issues, as an SGB, what can be done from your side to actually decrease the scourge?
Yes, no, we are the government of a school, a government that make laws. But because we are a government of a special type, we are not making laws, we are making policies in the school. And those policies they must be adhered to. And they are also administered by the principal, they are administered by the teachers in that school. So for them, those policies to be supported so that they are not being undermined, then we need support. We need support of all the stakeholders, support particularly of the parents. Look, if we make a policy that makes our schools safe, now if you don't have the support of the parents, and in this case, then we are referring parents and community, then that policy will not work in that school. And hence, as National Association of School Governing Bodies, we have got lot of programs. I think we have got 4 programs that are directed to that. One is that we want to strengthen the triangle, the relationship of the teacher, the learner, and the parent. That's one of our programs. So that once that relationship is strengthened, we shall not have incidents such as Lefuno. Because if we were strong in that, then Lefuno would have reported perhaps the matter to the teacher, or she would have reported the matter to the parent, or she would have reported the matter even to the peer in the school. So now it means that we are still lacking, but we are championing that type of a program. One other program is parenting. Then to say, parents, time is now that we have to stand up and parent. And we are talking about the attitude, we are talking about the values, we are talking about skills, we are talking about knowledge. Parents will give knowledge to these children because they have been there. They will give values to these children, that when you go to school, it's only to learn, but nothing else, you know? So we need that. And then parental involvement. When we talk about the safety of school, we must see parents supporting school governing bodies, supporting teachers, supporting schools in that. But not only that, but we want also the Department of Basic Education to come on board. We have really a serious problem in terms of their lower structures. The district, the circuit, they are not playing part. You will find that now the district directors, the circuit managers are arrogating powers that don't belong to them, to themselves, when this power belongs to the school governing bodies. And we want that to come to an end. But lastly, we have a program that is referred to as parent power. You see, if parents can realize the massive power that they have, if they can use that power, I'm telling you, we are going to achieve quality learning for all in our lifetime. But if parents are still lagging behind, I must tell you, teachers can do the best they can do, the principals can do, the department can do the best they can do, but I must tell you, we shall never achieve quality learning or quality of education for all in our lifetime. So these are the programs that National Association of School Governing Body is driving together with the stakeholders like teacher organization, teacher unions. Then we are driving this thing, but we just want to appeal to the department so that they must also be a triangle. National Association of School Governing Body, Department of Basic Education, and labor movement, SADU in particular.
Well, I actually want to give Mr. Mhlanga an opportunity to respond to that call that you were making for that cooperation from the department, because according to them, or from their perspective, they actually are involved as far as they possibly can be. Mr. Mhlanga, would you like to respond to Mr. Matakanye's statements there?
No, you're correct, and it's also correct that we need a partnership. It has to be a partnership between the department. There has to be the partnership involving school governing bodies as well as parents, and parents in particular, because it is them who are responsible for the first lesson of any type in terms of teaching their children values, teaching their children good behavior, respecting self and respecting others. And a school will only reinforce. So that partnership needs to be fully functional. We all have a responsibility to make sure that we play our part. Parents, when they are called to school to attend meetings, they must be there. They must attend SGB meetings as well. Because a good school is one where the SGB is fully functional, everyone pulling together, same pace, understanding and guiding and advising each other. And when that happens, then even when they approach the circuit or the district office, you can see that it is the entire school community of that particular school that feels they need attention from the authorities. And when that unity is showing, the department has no choice but to act in the right way to support that school in whatever way that they want. But on a regular basis, in this very room where I'm sitting, we schedule meetings with the associations of our school governing bodies, all of them under what we call the National Consultative Forum. We sit here, we deliberate with them on a whole range of issues that they feel they need to raise with the minister, with the department. So we have that ongoing interaction happening. But they too, as SGB associations, they need to make sure that all SGBs in all the 25,000 schools get to hear the feedback of the issues that they would have raised with the department right here. So it's important that we also cascade the information right from the top to the bottom, making sure that everyone has the same understanding of our responsibilities in the system.
Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to stay with us. We're going to continue this discussion in just a moment. Continue our discussion with Mugwena Maluleke, who is the SADU General Secretary, Matakanya, who is the NASGB's General Secretary, and Mhlanga, who is the Department of Education spokesperson. Thank you for staying with me, gentlemen. Now, just speaking to you, Mr. Maluleke, if you can just talk to us about whether or not teachers actually do feel supported by parents currently.
Well, let me thank you for that. Some of our schools really are struggling in terms of the support that we are supposed to get from the parents. As Matakanya was indicating that if they can be able to crack that problem of support to the parents, then we will have better schools, because then bullying and intimidation will not be there. For example, of late, we are realizing that the community, when they are bored, they have nothing to do, they want to turn our schools into tourist areas. They just come into the schools and close down the school. Like yesterday, we had about 3 schools in Soshanguve were closed for no reason, basically, just because somebody else has not been reappointed as a screener, or somebody has not been appointed as an assistant teaching, when in actual fact they knew that the program was running up until the 31st of March, and therefore processes in place to address those particular issues. But what do? They mobilize the communities, they mobilize the very same parents who have got learners or children in that particular school, and they close it down. So that there's still a problem of supporting education, supporting our teachers, and so forth. So the Department of Education send what they call IDSO, or they call them subject advisors. I think we have improved when it comes to those particular areas of them being there to support the teachers. Yes, we will continue to be improving the system. It's not that every teacher is being supported in the country by the stakeholders that are supposed to, but they are better schools where the parents are literally supporting the principal and the teachers, and hence those particular schools are recording quality outcomes in terms of all the grades, not only in grade 1. But whether it's the primary schools, because literally where parents are participating, where parents, when they are being called to school or when they are given the work of the learner, they take 3 minutes of their time in the evening and check the work of the learner and say to my child, I love you. That's why I'm checking your book. That particular learner coming to school knows very well that I am going to school. My father, my mother, my aunt, whoever the guardian is interested in my education. And as a principal, I used to be saying to the parents when they come to the meeting, you take 3 minutes of your time every evening, not more than that, just to show the child that you care about the education of your child. Because I grew up, my parents did not know how to read, my mother did not know how to, my dad did not know. They came back very late from school. But what my mother used to be doing, turning the book upside down as if she's doing something, I thought that she can write. I thought she sees what was happening there. So I knew when I go to school, tonight I must show what I have done. And so that was the love that she was showing. So if we can be able to have our teachers being supported by everyone, we'll be able to win the war against violence, bullying, and any other intimidation that is there. We have a campaign that we call I Am a School Fan. With this campaign, we are saying we need to stop bullying. We need to stop violence in our schools. We need to build a caring nation, because we are nation builders as the teachers. And that particular campaign is calling for everybody, not just education officials, but everyone, the churches, the clubs, the stockfiles. They must talk about education. So if we can do that, we can see that we can really eradicate these social ills that are there in our schools.
Now, Mr. Mhlanga, just coming back to these rules that have been gazetted, in the case where a teacher actually has a 5-year ban or a 3-year ban or a 2-year ban imposed on them, depending on the offence, of course, what is the process that's followed once they've concluded that ban period to then reintroduce them into teaching again? Do they go back to the same school? Is there a sort of a rehabilitation process that happens before they start teaching again?
Well, it is hoped that during the period of their serving their punishment, they would have gone through various initiatives and programs to get them back on track. Once a post is available somewhere, they will apply. It might not necessarily be the same school, because life would have been moving on while they were dismissed. So life will continue without them, and you can't go back to that same school. But once you indicate interest in coming back, now you'll have to submit a whole range of documents. You'll need to submit a clearance certificate from the relevant authorities. You will also need to go back to the South African Council for Educators, who will also give you a document. And the employing department will also need to make sure that they check these documents and contact the last department where you worked, if you are not in the same province, to confirm if what you have, to confirm whether what you have submitted is indeed true and correct. So it's going to be a huge process for you to just get back into the system, because you got yourself into trouble in the first place. And remember, when you're found guilty, it's simply because you have committed an offense, and the process would have ensued, which would have found you guilty. So you need to understand that it's a huge inconvenience. It's something that no one should find themselves in. That's why we're saying that we hope that these regulations will work as a deterrent to remind teachers of their responsibilities to be exemplary in how you conduct yourself, because you can't teach that which you don't do, especially if we're talking about positive values. So the way of coming back is going to be difficult, and things are changing. There's a huge demand for work opportunities by thousands and thousands of qualified but unemployed educators. So there's no guarantee that you'll get your job back.
And during that period when an educator is being accused of misconduct and the investigations are ongoing, what processes are followed while that is happening? Do they get suspended with pay, suspended without pay, especially in the cases of sexual misconduct?
No, for all the sexually related misconduct cases, you're gone for good. If you look at it, if you found to have had a relationship with a learner, you're gone. If it's sexual harassment against a learner, you're gone forever. If you were involved with another educator, similarly, it's a life ban. And that also includes this one of you bringing a firearm to a school without permission. That too can also send you off for a long time. So you need to make sure that those types of offenses are far from you. That's why it's very important that reporting is critical, so that you are protected, but you also protect yourself, and most importantly the children, against all types of offenses that have got to do with rape and such sexual harassment and any of that behavioral type of offense that you might be involved in.
And just briefly, Mr. Mhlanga, are there any cases where a teacher's been falsely accused and actually ends up being proven innocent after the accusations are made?
Well, it happens in a minority of cases, but in the majority of cases, once that happens and it comes out, it would be that that teacher was involved. Yes, there would be such cases, but they are complex in nature. That's why now we're happy that there's a new regime of how the disciplinary cases are going to be dealt with, because now all the parties that are involved in the system will be involved to make sure that all the facts are scrutinized and that there's no false finding, especially if someone is innocent and yet they are being accused of something that they did not do.
Well, just in closing, Mr. Matakanya, your closing statements and final words of warning to those wrongdoers who had been trying to hide against loopholes in the law.
Thank you very much again. Then we are saying to all the South African, time is now. Time has arrived. Mhlanga has just spoken. So teachers are local parents. So I think we know that there are good teachers out there, as their General Secretary has already said here. But on the side of the parents, we are calling all South Africans, parents in particular, that let's get quality education for all in our lifetime. But this quality education for all in our lifetime dependent on you to go out there, support the teachers, support the principals, support your schools, support your children. Also the community around the schools. These schools are yours. These schools are no more state schools. These schools are referred to as public schools. Stop destroying the school. Stop vandalizing the school. These schools are yours. So the government of the day does not have money to continuously build one school. They have.
Well, Mr. Matakanya, I do apologize, but I do have to interject there. We have run out of time there. That was Mr. Matakanya, who is the NASGB's General Secretary. He was also joined by SADU General Secretary Mugwena Maluleke and the Department of Education spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga.